Ukraine and the US are working on an economic deal at the center of an effort to end Russia's war in Ukraine, President Zelenskyy said on Monday during a G7 meeting.
Our teams are already working productively with the US on economic agreement, which we hope to sign in Washington. And President Trump, we would really like to hear from you, because all our people, all our families are very worried. Will there be support from America? Will America be the leader of the free world?
The United Nations General Assembly voted on a resolution presented by Ukraine and the EU, which condemns Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine and demands the withdrawal of Russian forces from the occupied territories. The resolution was supported by 93 countries, while 18 voted against it and 65 abstained.
We need to reconfirm that the aggression should be condemned and discredited, not rewarded. We need clear guidance, not just silence, weapons, temporality, not just ceasefire, but to achieve a solution which is just, comprehensive, and sustainable. A solution that guarantees that there will be no repetition of what happened 3 years ago on February 24, 2022, neither in Ukraine nor elsewhere.
The US was among those who voted against the resolution. US Representative Dorothy Shea argued that previous UN resolutions condemning Russia's actions and emphasizing its violations of international law had failed to halt the war. Meanwhile, the US presented the UN Security Council with their own resolution, which expressed sorrow over the ongoing war, calls for an end to the fighting and the establishment of a lasting peace between Ukraine and Russia, failing, however, to explicitly acknowledge Moscow's role.
This resolution puts us on the path to peace. It is a first step, but a crucial one of which we should all be proud. Now we must use it to build a peaceful future for Ukraine, Russia, and the international community.
The measure, titled The Path to Peace, was approved by a 10-vote majority, while 5 European nations, France, the United Kingdom, Greece, Slovenia, and Denmark, abstained.
There can be no equivalence between Russia and Ukraine in how this Council refers to this war. If we are to find a path to sustainable peace, the Council must be clear on the war's origins.
A ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia could be achieved in the coming weeks, suggested the French President Emmanuel Macron following a meeting with US President Trump. In an interview with Fox News, Macron said that the proposed truce would apply to air, sea, and infrastructure targets, serving as a test of Russia's true intentions. He also suggested that the ceasefire period could serve as a window for talks on security guarantees and Ukraine's reconstruction. However, Macron urged Trump to be cautious in peace negotiations.
Be careful, because we need something substantial for Ukraine, but for the security of Europe and France. And second, let's work together on the future to preserve security guarantees, meaning to be sure that this peace will be respected by Russia.
Macron became the first European leader to visit Trump in Washington. During the meeting in the White House, the French president underlined that Europe has a role to play in providing security guarantees to Ukraine.
We have prepared, particularly with our British partners, in the framework of the very close cooperation we have had over recent weeks, and shared with all the European countries and allies who are ready to join, the idea to say, we are ready to provide security guarantees. The conditions still need to be set out in the agreement. It could go as far as sending troops who would observe that peace was properly respected, who would position themselves not on the front line, not to enter into the conflict, but to mark their presence as a guarantee.
At the same time, Trump supported the idea of European troops as peacemakers, noting he had already discussed the topic with Putin and that the Kremlin leader will accept the deployment.
European troops may go into Ukraine as peacemakers. So when the agreement is done, they can watch that everything is followed properly. I don't think that's going to be a problem.
However, commenting on this Trump statement, the Kremlin spokesperson referred to the Russian foreign minister, who, while in Riyadh, said that the idea of deploying troops from NATO countries in Ukraine was unacceptable to Russia. President Trump will meet with President Zelenskyy in person to sign an agreement on rare earth minerals. While talking with journalists in the Oval Office, Trump said that it may happen in the next 2 weeks, as the parties are close to a final deal.
I will be meeting with President Zelenskyy. In fact, he may come in this week or next week to sign the agreement, and which would be nice. I'd love to meet him. Would meet at the Oval Office. So the agreement's being worked on now. They're very close to a final deal. It'll be a deal with rare earths and various other things, and he would like to come, and I understand it, here to sign it, and that would be great with me.
During the press conference on Sunday, Zelenskyy explained why Kyiv had rejected the first version of the rare mineral agreement, noting that he wasn't willing to sign any document that would leave 10 generations of Ukrainians in debt. Zelenskyy underlined that he wants to see the US president on Ukraine's side. However, he's not going to recognize that the US has provided $500 billion in aid to Ukraine, a figure recently quoted several times by Trump.
Ukraine has received $100 billion in aid from the United States. Not 350, not 500, not 250, not 700. And we are very grateful for that. To be honest, I'm not even ready to fix 100 billion. Let me explain why. We should not recognize grants as debts. You can like it or not. I agree on this with Biden and agreed with the US Congress. It was about grant support, and a grant is not a debt.
Europe must quickly establish an independent defense capability, believes the German CDU party leader Friedrich Merz. That was his response to a question on whether NATO would remain in its current form by June, in light of comments from the Trump administration.
Firstly, foreign and security policy. In response to statements made in Washington last week, it is clear that we Europeans must now be able to act very quickly and that we must also organize our own defense capability.
According to preliminary results, the CDU-CSU conservative bloc led by Merz was declared the winner of the Bundestag election by Germany's electoral authority. On the third anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion, Merz posted on X that Europe remains firmly on Ukraine's side, adding that now more than ever Ukraine must be put in a position of strength. He was one of the first German politicians to visit Ukraine after the beginning of the full-scale invasion in May 2022. More than 26,500 aerial threats have been destroyed by the Ukrainian Air Force since February 24, 2022. This figure includes 370 aircraft and 331 helicopters, 1,801 air-launched cruise missiles, including the KH-101, 555 and 55SM models, and more than 14,000 Shahed-type attack drones. The Air Force also confirmed that tactical aviation conducted over 20,000 sorties over the past 3 years, with approximately 10,000 involving strike missions against Russian forces and more than 12,000 providing fighter cover.